Hello everyone. Uh, we are doing the second video session tutorial of React, basic React. So let's start it. What we are going to do, let's briefly explain that. We are rendering the data at front end from API, and those data we will implement the function of read more. Initially, it will show the less content. When you click read more, it will show the more content and will work on ID. Based on the ID, the content data will be removed. Those things will work out in a different way in this session. So let's jump into the project. So here you will get a fresh copy. I have also uh, commented that GitHub link. From there also you can download this copy, and accordingly you can work in the project. And just now I have just started the React server, and I'm going to work for the further videos, further things. This is index.js. Here nothing will be there, just render the root. So we are going to work on loading component. Loading component will just load at initial. When the data loads, the loading component will disappear. And let's work on app.js. See, constant URL. This is the URL. If I copy this URL and paste it in the browser, I'll be getting the URL data like this: ID, name, info, image, price. So let's work out. This is the URL defined, and let me destructure those things. Constant. What will be loading? We are working on loading, right? Constant loading, set loading, right? This will use state. Initially it will true. Another company we are working for tour GUR, right? GUR tools. Okay, tools, set tools would be the better option, right? So this also use state. Initial it is the empty. There will not be any data. And let's go to the next option, calling. Now we have set the data, and what we can do is, first of all, we'll display the data, right? Whatever inside this URL, in the sense this API, right? And let me copy that again, these things again. Okay. So we'll display these things in the front end. The first job is that we'll do. Okay. Let's get started. So we have this structure. We have set the usage state true, and we have constant set true. Here only we'll use the data and insert those APIs data. For that, we have to define one function. That function will work, right? User state and what that function will do. We'll define constant fetch tools, right? Fetch tools equals to async, this asynchronous function. And what this function will do, this function will set loading at initial true. Extra proportion something, right? It is already true at initial. You can look this true. In case if it's not true in this state, this function will make true if we run this function. Okay, set loading true. So I have done set loading true, and I'm using another try and catch block. Okay, try and catch block. In try, what I will do, constant response. Okay, let's go again. It's response equals to fetch API. No, what you'll do, fetch constant API equals to await fetch constant. Okay, await await fetch. What you'll do, what you'll fetch, await fetch, what you'll fetch, that those URL will fetch here. Okay, another constant constant uh, tools. Okay, and make giving TOURS tools equals to await AWE await response dot what you do dot JSON format. Okay, the data should be in JSON format. Those data stored in a tools. Now what is next? Next we'll set tools. Okay, we'll set those data inside tool. Okay, we have converted JSON format and we are setting tools into tools. So now you'll be getting all the data inside this tools function. Okay, so those tools we have done. Okay, set tools. Before that, there is one more thing. As soon as the data loads up, do this process, we have to set loading equals to false. Okay, then only the data will be displayed. Understand? And set tools equals to tools. Now, what we'll write in catch block? Catch blocks error will do set loading false. Okay, and one more thing we can see in console as console.log error, right? Console.log error. That if there is any error, it will print out. Okay, error will print it out. Okay, now it is done. Now those things is done. What happened? Let me explain it to you again. Here we have a API. This API consists of JSON data, this format data, this kind of data. Where is that data? Oh, okay. Let me explain it to you again. Just a moment. My system is loading. First of all, I'll run the React. This data, okay. This kind of ID name info image. This is JSON type of data. How this JSON data? This URL. Now the URL is holding the data, but it is not converted. This type of raw data not converted. It is showing in the browser as a JSON data, but it needs to be converted here also. So that is why URL is stored that the data inside this URL is stored the URL of the data, right? And what I am doing, I'm destructuring constant loading, comma set loading equals to use state. Why I'm defining this? Because when data loads at the browser, right, in that time the data should not be there. If data is not there, so it will show as a load, set loading components will load. For the this loading components will load, and it will say loading, right? If data is present, then tools component will load this data components. In the sense that will be used in or explained in a next session. So right now we are defining loading, set loading, use state, where given state as a true, and constant tools and set tools use state as a nothing. We are giving empty because we are inserting from here. That's why we have given true. Now we have to define a function in order to use effect, right? And function is required. What function? Constant fetch tools function asynchronously fetch what set initially it is true, and try and catch block is mandatory here. If something happen, error will come in the go in the catch block. So try constant response await fetch what we need to fetch URL, those URL inside of it. And now URL is those information is stored is response, then await.response.json, whatever there in the response, right, it should be converted in a JSON. So set loading, now data is loaded, now it should show as a pulse, and another component gives time to the another components, and another thing set tools equals to tools. Now the data is loaded in a JSON format, key and values pair. Now the data set to the tools. In the sense, in a year you will get the data because we have set the data. to this components, to this, what do you call, function, right? This function and this things. So you have a data right now. So now we have everything done. Now let's map the data, right? Mapping is the, now we have done these things. Okay, fine. Now we have done this thing. Now we need to use effect. Okay, we should use effect in order to render. Use effect. Use effect. What things? Fetch tool. We'll do fetch tools. Okay, that's all we need to do. And one more thing, should not render again and again. Okay, so here we need to do these things. That's all. That's all right. Say tools in the sense something. Right. Await fetch. Fetch. Await. Await fetch constant. Await fetch, right? Await fetch. Try inside try block. Okay. I think all the association format. JSON format, right? Okay. That's comma should be written. I think so. Right. 40. So use effect is done. Now we are going to check the footing. Footing. Where is footing? Some error is there. Footing constant. And st response. Constant response, right? Constant response. Try block. Check loading. True. Okay. This is okay. Asynchronous is also okay. Sorry, we have done some mistake. Asynchronous should not be used like this. Should be used. It should be used like this. Now the thing is working, right? Here the mistake. Okay. Now we have to display those data. So how we will display the data? In order to display the data, we need to do after this only, right? Above the return, you have to mention always any condition above the return. If what? If is loading, is that if loading, right? If loading, yeah. If loading is true, what you need to display? What you will display? If loading is true, return what? Return main. Inside main, what you want to display? Loading components. Loading, if it is loading is true, you display the loading component. That's what it is telling. If it is false, okay? If it is false, in the sense here we have to mention what we have to mention. Return main, right? Return main, and you give the tool component. That's what it is doing. Loading through it is fine. Else it just go through the tool components. That's what. Let's check out, guys. What might be the output of the project? It's loading, right? And you are getting only loading. Yeah, because loading is true. In the sense you have not gotten any data, right? Listen, tools, set tools, okay? So loading, yeah, loading components, loading data on, right? It is displayed as loading data, okay? So is there any mistake over here? I don't think so, right? If I develop false, let's use false, okay? Yeah, because we have mentioned state as true, right? Let it mention true. Now let's work on to the next part. So we have a tool component, right? Yes, we have a tool component. So that tool component will send the data. Tools will send there those data, right? Tools equals to tools, okay? So we are sending tools, right? Tools, okay? So we are sending tools, the tools component. Tools component. So we need to work here in a tools, right? Let's close it, tools component. So there is some thing we need to change. There is a problem, guys. we have to mention this one makes the problem. See this, and you have to write inside of this, or you can write just like this also. No problem either. And let's move on. What happened? Is loading. If loading, if there is no data, it will keep loading. Okay, it will keep loading. But if there is a data, what will happen? It will go to the tour component, this component. Okay, so what I have done in a tour component, I am sending tours, whatever the this data as a props I am sending. This data as a props I am sending. Converted and I have sent this data as a props. Okay, so what happened? Here I have forwarded. Now we have to work in a tours component. So this component, the data, how we'll receive the data as a props, we have to write these tools. Okay, TOURS. So we need to mention here as a TOURS. So now you have a data. So you can do the other task as well. Okay. So I have received the data. Tools.js, right? I received the data. Now, what is the next? What would be the next? Now we have received the data and we need to make these things return, right? Sorry, return. So better will write it as a section would be the better option. So you have to, is that a section we are writing? Yes. Section, we are writing section. Now it is fine. Now the section has written and we don't need this data. Okay. Now we don't need this data. Now it's okay. Return section, and we don't need data. We need div. So in order to do, I'll just convert it. React JavaScript. Now what I need div with the title. So you have a tab it is with div with title. Inside of it, I'll write s2 class. Okay, s2 class our tools. I'll write it. Okay, which can be displayed. You can display our tools. Okay. So because it is a data, that's why it is displaying this one. Otherwise, the loading component will. So loading. Okay. So yes, do I have described. Now another div component with class name underline, UNDERLIN underline, right? Another div component that is already underline is defined in index.css. You can just see the CSS, what is inside of it. What if I do underline, what will happen? It will underline here. Okay, that's what I have done in CSS. See, underline. Okay, fine. Now let's go to the next. Underline is over, right? Now what we have to do? We have to do another div component. Is that? No. We have to write below the div tab, right? We need to make another div, and where we have to do the map function. So our data in a tools. You know, these stores, we have all the data and API data. Do you know what is API data? Whatever here, again repeating guys for your understanding, this data. This data is in now tools components is having this data. Okay, this data is having by tool components. Okay, see tools components. Now I am mapping the data map. Okay, I'm mapping the data. Okay, now I am mapping the data in the sense. Let me write version. Okay, so all data will come in section, and let's go, and I will write another return statement with what I will pass tour. Okay, tour is I have another component as a key. What key I will pass? Version ID as a key. Okay, this ID as a key. Okay, now the tool components closed. And now again one more thing, we are sending whole data to the tool component. So to do that, you have to you have to pass it like this, spread operator, something. You can find it. Search in Google, YouTube, somewhere else you'll get them. So what happened if I, in this way of doing, this way of doing is Persian. All the data inside those things are JSON data is stored in a Persian, right? Maybe one by one data, and this data will go to the tool component. Okay, here. So now it is very easy for us, right? Now tool component is having all the data, right? So this is, I think this section is completed. Now we are forwarding this data to the tool component. Now we have to work some here in a tool component. Now we can just, what we need, ID we need, like this we can do, because we have sent as a props or spread operator all these things to the tools component, right? So if we send like this, we can receive this data. We can write it ID name, sorry, ID and name. Okay, name info, comma, there is image, comma, there is price. All those things are sending like this. We can receive data like this and react. Okay, now we have received data. Now what we'll do, we have to, now we have received the data. Let's check our react. I think there is has some error code. Okay, what might be that error? Return to components. There is no issue at all, right? Is there any issue? I think there is no issue at all. It should work, right? Those things should work, but just a moment, guys. Underline, we have a tool component, tools.map. .map, we have data inside person, return, tool key, person.id, spread operator, we are sending data. Okay. So tool is not defined. Tool is not defined. Okay. Now tool is imported. So you should be able to see the data, but nothing was rendered. Return statement is missing, it seems. We're working in the return statement, right? No? Yeah, we're working in the return statement only. Title is there. Tools. We have received as a tools section, right? Survey. Return. One more thing. We need to wrap up with the section, guys. Sorry for that. Yeah, it is done. Section. Just a moment, guys. Something. It should work right now. Yes, guys, because we have not given any values to the tool, right? We are just sending as a props to the tools, and we have received the data, ID, name, info, image, price, right? Now the big thing is coming here, right? Now what we have to do? Tell me what we have to do now. Now constant we have received. Yes, we have received. Now we need to use return, right? Return statement. Return statement. We have return. Let me write article. See, because I am always using as ID, right? No, here we have already used ID class name. It is there in my CSS single tool. I have written all the I've written all the what CSS in there single tool. You'll find all the CSS image src. Now I want to use what I want to use inside of article. First, I have to use src. Okay, image. Just like that, I can use because I am getting data, right? Yes, yes, I'm getting just like that. Easy. Sending is better. Name. Image is okay. Message font. Okay, I'm writing footer. Okay, sorry, footer tag. And in footer tag, let me change this to React JavaScript. Now it would be better. If tour TOUR, right? INF is the class is there. That CSS file you can go and check out. Okay, what H4? Okay, let me. I'm using H4. I'm sorry, using H4. Okay, here what I am going to do is I am passing that name. Okay, H4. And again, the H4. Here I am doing name and tour price. It's a price. So always we are working for the dollar, right? Not for the artists. That's what price. Let's give class name. So it will give tour. Better, no? Tour price. Okay. Now price is settled. Now they closed. Now write one more paragraph. Yes. Right now, do I need paragraph? No, I don't need it. Seems. Just check out the things. Yeah. Yes, guys, congratulations. We have done successfully. We are rendered. See those data we have rendered here. Okay. Now remember what we have to do. We have to implement read more section. Okay, because our paragraph have a lot of information like if we tag inside of it and then info, right? Okay, see, look, we have so much of data here, but we don't want this much of data. What we want only this much data, and there should be one read more section. Once I click read more, it should open all the data. It should not at initial, it should show few data. After clicking the read mode, then only it should show the data. That functionality we are working on right now. Okay, for that what we have to do is let's go to the index, sorry, app.js. Okay, let's go to the app.js. Do we have to write any code here in app.js? Do you have to write any code in app.js? No, we do not have to write. We have to write any code in tooljar.js. Check out tools.js. Also not required. So we need to work on here 2.js, right? So we have string, some concatenation, something, right? Okay. Is there any read more functionalities there? So let's set the step. Let's write it here. What we have to write, constant, use read more. Okay. Set read more. The state is already imported. So initial it should be false, state false. Okay, initial state is false. Done. So now implement that things here. Okay, how will implement those things here? In the sense like this. Read more initial it is false. In the sense it will not display the data. If read more is what? True. If read more is true, it will show the info. All info in the sense it will show the all the data, whatever there in info. But now it is false, right? So it will not display. It will display first this data. String concatenation. We have to use dollar, right? info dot what substring we have to substring we have to use how many 0 to 200, right? That's what we are giving. Okay, 200 is enough. Now out of this just means there is some more data. Okay, check out now we have to work on some of the things it seems. Okay, read more, done read more, and now let's use button inside of this paragraph. Button on click only this action should run, right? On click what? On click this what happened? Set read something is there, right? Set read more. These things. Set read mode what? On click set read mode. This function we have to do. Okay, read more something. Read more. That's what we have to do here. And set read mode. Okay. Inside of this we have to work on things. Okay, read more. Now let's do this. Okay, read more is true. Read more is true. Show more. Okay. So if it is true, show less. If it is false, show more. Those things have to. Okay. Let's check out what happened. There is some mistake, right? And this will happen, guys. Usually happen. Input substring is not a function. In the sense here, we have some mistake. What might be the mistake? Can you find out? Info dot substring. SUB ST. Yeah, spelling mistake. I see SUB STRIN substring. Now it should work. Yes. See, guys, this functionality working perfectly. At initial, see, when it's load, there is this much of text only, right? When you click show more, it stresses and show the text. Okay, that's what till now we have done. Now one more functionality we have to add. We, according to the ID, we should disappear this post. When I click not interested, it should go up, move up from the list. So that thing we are working right now. This is clear, right? Let's work out on that functionality. In order to do that functionality, first we have to check in the app section, app.js. So we should work out here first of all. Obviously, that we know that every action need a function. So we have to define a function as well here also. Inside app, where can I define a function? Okay, let me define a function here. Okay, to put that. Okay. Let me define constant. Remove. Okay. That's what. Okay. And I'm passing one thing as ID. What remove to rotate? New. Okay. What new to rotate during stores whatever data that API data or JSON data inside tools, right? That I want to filter it. Filter. What filter? What to do? Filter. Once it is filter, what filter? Suppose here I am writing data. Okay. That things is in data. Now I'm going to put data dot ID. So I did not. I didn't not equals to what? Not equals to ID not equals to ID. equals to China one, not right? Not equals to ID. China one, not right? Set tours like the what we have to do is set to the new tours. Okay, new tours. If there is not equals means you have to remove it. That's what it's saying. Not equals to ID means remove it. Now we have developed the function. Then what we have to do this set tours by sending this as a props. Let's send it set tours as a props. Let's send it set. I'm writing same guys set tours. Send to the where tours. Now here also we will pass here. Okay, tours set. How set tours spelling right? Set TOURS. Okay. Here person.id. Here also I am sending as a props, right? Set tours. Set tours equals to set tours. Okay. I provided, right? You could see that, right? Set tours. So what happened here? Remove tour. Okay. It's not a set tools. It should be remove tools. What I have defined here, remove tools. Okay. So it should be remove tool here. Remove tools. Okay. Remove tools. So now passing here as a remove tools. Okay. Passing here as a remove tools. That's what happened, right? Remove. So remove tool now is a tool component, right? Now what we have to do, just think guys, what we can do here. It is in tools now. So we have to implement the function here, right? How will implement? Where will implement? Below the p tag is better, right? Below the p tag is better. So let's write button. But on click. What on click? On click. On click function. Here you have to understand, okay, what will happen. Here you need to understand. On click, particular ID was clicking. In the sense remove tool. What is that? We have done remove tool, right? And calling, it is coming through data, right? It is coming through where? Remove tool. Okay. Yeah, remove tool, you have to pass it here. Don't forget. Okay. Remove tool. So we are calling here remove tool. On click, it should go to remove tool. In the sense, what remove tool function we have defined, remember that. Remove tool will filter the data. If it is not equal, then set to new tools. In the sense, if data.id not equal id, not equal, then only filter and go to this. Okay, that's what same thing. Remove tool, what remove tool will do right now? Your id. Which id? This id. This id should. Once you click, this function should carry the id. This id. If you click, this id will carry this function. That's what it means. Okay. Now write something. Not interested. Not interested. It is not interested. Those function will happen. Hope you guys everything going correct right now. Just check it out. Not interested. It's removing. You see, it's not interested. It's removing. It's removing. It's removing. But let's me apply the class name also. But name. Okay, class name should be btn. Is that btn? Delete btn. It's better. No? It is already written in our css file. You can look at there. Okay. Now see, not interested. Not interested. Not interested. See, not interested. Not interested. Now let's try it. Refresh button here. For that also we need to go to the main component called app.js. If it is now I am refreshing, right? In order to do, we'll write here refresh button. As soon as the component gets over, it should show refresh button here. So for that, what we should do, we should go to the here only. We should go to tools component, right? Remove tool is done. There is one more thing we have to do it. Everything is over, but we need to work on the refresh. How will work on that refresh? Just think, guys, how we can work in the refresh. Refresh. So it will show refresh button, no? That you have to think. How will do? In order to do that, let's go to the if statement below the above the return. Okay, above the return, what you can do? Above the return, you need to write some code like if one push dot, just remember that equals to 0 id, right? Id, no length equals to 0. If it is equals to 0, then what you have to do, you should do this things to should do return. What return? Main. Return main. Now let's call it div dot title. DITF title, right? So let's change this one also. Okay. Now div dot TITL title. Okay. Now its title is coming, right? Now what next? What next? Div dot title. Inside you just mention a refresh notes. GOUR. Right, notice. Very good. Now let's implement the button. If it is not left, then we have to refresh it. Let's go in that button. That button should work. Okay. For that simple thing also we can do, but we'll do it in a complicated way. H tools. We'll call H tools. Where is that function? We'll call H tools function. As soon as somebody clicks, see those data inside the fetch tool will appear, right? No tool left. If w equals to 0, if there is nothing, we would like to call the fetch tools once user click. Okay, fetch tools. In the sense, all the data inside the fetch tools will come here. Okay, now refresh. You can write just try refresh. Okay, let's work on it, guys. Our project is almost over. Okay, now go. So more working, data coming, not interested, also working. See, not interested, also working. Now see, no tool left. So this is coming, right? No tool left. Can you see this? Okay. If there is 2 dot length equals to, whenever this condition met, length equals to 0, so this will come. And when I refresh, what happened? This component will go. H2 component. So here, likewise, I have one click, arrow function, and fetch tools and column. So refresh. Spelling is correct. Yeah, yes, that's right. I think this is the correct class name. Okay, let's define class name. Will look good. I think so. Not interested. Not interested. Not interested. Not interested. Not interested. See, refresh. So you have just given button name also not left. There is 0 and this component will load. Once I refresh it, all things again reloading back to the front end. Thank you so much, guys, for watching these videos. Comment me so I can guide you if you have any doubts in this project. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.